These are the top 5 values that make you irreplaceable in any culture. From Manila to Manhattan, these values translate everywhere. If you think your resume makes you valuable, you are already replaceable. Hey everyone, this is Gil. Thank you for jumping on again. I really appreciate it. If you like the stuff we put out, please do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Whether you're in the Philippines, Vietnam, or even Colombia, your ability to adapt through values will decide if people follow you or smiling at you while planning your exit. So here are the 5 top values I believe you need in order to stay relevant, to stay strong in any culture that you are in, and to be the best leader that you can be, honestly. Number 1, cultural humility. It's not about being right. It's about being received. Because you can talk your head off until you're blue in the face as to what the right thing to do is, or conceptualize what back in your home area, what the right thing to do is, but it's not being received. I have made this mistake many, many times. So I come from it from a very question standpoint. What happens in X environment when this happens? That's usually my opening for those type of things, right? So I'll share a story with you. A guy named Chris, right, comes to the Philippines and tries to bring westernized everything. You know, I don't know if you know, because I do this myself from time to time. I don't know if you ever heard of people like back in America, and that they stop there. They just stop there. And locals smile, right? Locals smile at you, but they isolate him nonetheless, as in, and I find this happening when I first started working in the Philippines, where I would say my piece as to why can't the Philippines adjust to the westernized standard per se. Usually everyone will smile, and then once I walk away, they just go on and do their thing. So I know that I didn't bring enough value in that particular transaction or conversation, right? So I want to share a story with you on someone who practices cultural humility. Let's say the guy, like what happens is a lot of Filipinos eat with their hands traditionally, right? So, when I first started living in the Philippines, even back in college, I saw it being done at home, but it wasn't something I practiced. So when I got here, I purposely assimilated to the culture where there's a spot in Dumaguete, right? Like right near one of our houses, my parents' houses. It's called Joe's Inato. I'll put a picture up here. The place, you can get forks and spoons, but the place predominantly, any Inato places usually, you eat with hands. So instead of being an American, and it's like, and I said, can I get some forks and spoons? I decided to eat up the banana leaf. The meal is there, and I ate with my hands. Not because I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to fit in, but not fit in. But I just wanted to because people are watching all the time, to be honest with you. Especially the fact that, the face and the voice don't match from time to time or all the time for when I'm in the local space. So I purposely do these things so people let their guards down. You know what I'm saying? People, I have to be that synergy between those two worlds, like many of you are all the time. It doesn't even have to be in business, it's just in general, matter of fact. So number 1, practice cultural humility. Number 2, emotional discipline. This is super important here in the Philippines especially, that I've noticed. And I can venture to say in other Southeast Asian countries as well, or countries outside of America in general, I would have to say. Comment down below if you have this particular experience. So raise your tone here and lower your influence. So what does that mean? If you raise it, like me, I'm from New York, so I naturally have a big voice. And I come off aggressive many of the times. So I have to do disclaimers when I speak to people. Like, excuse me, I'm loud because I am the way I am. But to some extent, my tone is a lot different versus when I was in New York. So here, I would like to say, I would like to think I sound less angry. I sound less aggressive. I try my best now for the past 3 years to sound a lot more empathetic when I speak to people. So I messed up many times in the first year, maybe first 6 months, and I started learning and readjusting. So because I realized that every time I raise my tone, it sounds like a demand, a command, in order to a good degree. Although I am the boss, I don't want to come up like that here. Everything here is super collaborative. So tone-wise, just in a broader sense, heightening your EQ will definitely help you in the long run, to be honest with you. So most US expats, right, publicly criticize their partner, I hope not, their employee, their staff, and the employee or the local person, the Filipino in this particular case, they nod, they just they avoid conflict. So at the end of the day, they're gonna be nodding, they're not gonna be really, they're not gonna rebuttal you to a great degree, or they're going to take the low road and just be a lot more submissive many of the times. Obviously, some people are not. But the problem is, then they ghost you, or they have the propensity to ghost you either in your personal life, and it's going to be worse in your work life. That means ghosting projects, not having things done on deadlines. So many things can come from that, from just the fact that you humiliated them in public. You scolded them, you corrected them in public, right? And it's, as a westernized person, it seems stupid, but as a person working here, because honestly, people in America, most people in America don't take it personal, or they do take it personal, but they keep moving on, right? Here, they keep moving on, and they take it really personal. Americans, I find that they'll just push it down there. They just repress it until it's more like, I'm just gonna get the job done, it is what it is type thing. And to some degree, Filipinos like that in some sense, but the problem is they're very, I would have to say, chattery. So they're more than likely, it's the chica. It's going to be, yeah, what's her name? It can go from the extreme of quitting the job because I felt like for saving face, and on the lighter end of things, just going around amongst their trusted colleagues and just complaining, offloading, which is not going to be good for you. So practice emotional discipline, to be honest with you. Really read the room, read the nonverbals and everything like that, right? So in Philippine culture, like I said, emotional control equates to strength. Outbursts equates to insecurities, right? So the principle of this is that, you earn trust by keeping your cool, stoic, chill, I can handle anything vibe, right? And especially when shit hits the fan, you're the type of people like, man, this guy's, I don't like throwing the word alpha around all the time, but this dude's even keeled, man. So they really respect that, to be honest with you. I cannot tell you how many times in my role, some people will be like, Gil, I just don't know how you stay so level-headed in most tumultuous times. And although internally I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? Externally, for me, because I am pretty much the head guy here in the Philippines, so I am a pillar to them. If I show any weakness emotionally, it'll crack the foundations. It is good to show vulnerability from time to time, but vulnerability and weakness to me are two different things. Vulnerability is willing to share and willing to show like a softer side of you. Weakness is just like some people here, unfortunately, when crap happens, the facial expression is the one I'm really after. The nonverbals, Oh, you know, no offense to you Filipinos, like there's one guy in the office when shit hits the fan. Oh my God! It's honestly, it's a bit irritating for seeing that for him. It's irritating for me watching a man react that way. To be honest with you, hate me all you want. I just don't think men should be reacting that way. That's all I'm saying. So, broader spectrum here. Really understand your people, read the room, get your EQ up if you don't have it up, because you're gonna really need it here in the Philippines, to be honest with you. Here's some facts that I wanna give you. Emotional safety ranked more important than salary by Filipino professionals. That's a very strong statement there, because even when honestly, when I interview, and I interviewed hundreds of people already in these 3 to 5 years of being a consultant and running my own businesses, when I deal with people and I ask them how can we bring value to your life? How can we make sure that you are growing, and just making sure that we can reciprocate, be there for our employees, for our staff. A lot of the times is for the really articulate people, how is your culture in the office? How is the environment here? Because yes, it's true. People will make do with salaries until they find something better. But for me, from what I've seen, honestly, because you can throw crazy amounts of money, and I've seen this with certain employees who have come from the freelance space, moving to the in-office space, who make great money on the freelance end of things, but they're not being emotionally and mentally stimulated obviously in their home, where they have virtual teams. And I find that when they come back to an in-office setting, many of them, if they make the wrong decision in the wrong company, they go back into this very ultra competitive crab mentality, talking shit about each other type of environments. And that's something that we don't do at the company. I'm very big on that. Trust me, I'm very big on that. And literally, out of, let's say, 10 interviews, 8 or 9 out of them will be more, how is the culture versus, even a common question of what type of, roadmap do I have to make more money as I grow in the company? I rarely get those questions, to be honest with you. Number 3, long-term respect over short-term results. So respect isn't given the fastest, right? I can tell you this personally. It's given to the most rooted, right? The person that wants to dig in and put their roots in to the company, to the culture, to into their partner. Don't have a bad mind about the roots, okay? So, expats often expect instant compliance, and I'm at fault for this as well. Locals value time, patience, and relational currency. This is a very true statement here, I'll be honest with you. So, it took me a while to get in sync with my team, the staff, because they really read you as to longevity-wise, how you really act over time. Because it's one of those things where a lot of the people that work with me are coming from usually BPO industries. And from what I understand, it's very toxic in many BPO industries. Comment down below if you're a Filipino working out here that has worked for a BPO long term. I hear horror stories about these things, and I rarely hear stories of I had a really good manager that really helped me elevate myself and things like that. I usually hear the crap. But then again, it's perspective as well. So, you can either look at the bottle half full or half empty type thing, right? So, I'm just saying, as an expat, foreigner, or whatever, don't come in here okay, these are the rules, take it or leave it. That's literally the wrong way to go about it, because you're gonna cause conflict, friction at the end of the day, and your title, your monetary value can only go so far when you're working long-term with people, to be honest with you. So long-term respect, it's really gained here, right? So keep that in mind when you're, that's a very good just in a general, you know what I'm saying? Give value, or like I'll put it to you this way. A car is only valuable for me as long as it stays reliable, right? Right? So, I've owned really nice cars. I've owned cars that break down. I've owned motorcycles that look sexy, they look great. It goes in the garage every other week or every other month, or whatever, because of some issue. Not reliable. The value might, there can be some contention there as to the aesthetic value of it when you have a nice car, a nice motorcycle, or whatever. But, respect here is earned long term, right? So here's a stat. PwC statistics, Philippine statistics, it came through a survey. 74% of Filipino employees prefer slow build relationships over high pressure KPIs. So if you put this in the dating scene, if you look at the general dating scene here, the ones worth it, this is going to be a universal situation when picking a partner. The ones worth it usually take time. Comment down below if you think I'm wrong. The ones worth it usually take time. So in that, I say this, like here, same thing in the workforce, right? Like in the workforce, this is just a general theory that I have. I could be very wrong, but everyone here is like, it's almost like a teleseries type of culture where it's episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. So it's not a 2-hour, 1 hour and a half movie where all the climaxes, the ups and downs happen or whatever. They're looking long term. They're looking at it as in, okay, let's see what happens year 1, year 2, year 3. Because think about this. People celebrate monthsaries here. People celebrate, I grew up in America. I never knew what a monthsary celebration it was until I moved here. So you have to understand, things that happen culturally will transfer into work life. You'd be crazy to think that it doesn't. But I'm saying this makes this makes a lot of sense. When 74% of Filipinos prefer that will slow build relationships over high pressure KPIs. I cannot, if I had like $1, if I had like 5 cents for every time somebody says they hated their previous role in a BPO because of the high pressure KPIs, I would be a lot more wealthier now. But my point is that, yeah, you want standards, you want accountability, but there has to be an emotional aspect of give and take there as well. Just to point that out, okay, when you run business here. So here, a slow win with loyalty is better than a fast win that burns bridges, right? And that's with anything. That's with any country. That's just a general code of ethic or value you should have, where you're not burning bridges for your own results, for your own, means and things like that. I always try to empower, because I'll be honest with you, earlier in my life when I was younger, I was thinking about me, super self-centered. Now I'm at the point where I just want to do my best every day to bring value to people. I don't really care at my point in life right now if they forget me, they never acknowledge me. I just want to be that guy to give them value at the end of the day, right? So let's go on to number 4. Silent ownership. Don't announce your leadership, embody it. This is a very, very true statement. I'll be honest with you. Filipinos in general don't like boastful people. There's a beside saying, like, mura ginsa na siya. Like, mura ginsa na siya means who the hell does that guy think he is? You don't want, back to my point, everything's very collaborative here, right? If you ever talk to your Filipino teams, like, hey, great job, John. Like, oh, I have a great team. The team's really backing me up. It's almost very hard for most Pinoys to be like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I worked really hard on it. There are some people, but they're very self-centered. But even me, I already know for a great fact, I know that when I congratulate people, like give them, shout outs, it's always, yo, man, I got a great team, man. Like, no one, and I know as a Filipino, they don't like people who are boastful. They don't like people. There's a difference between saying like, yeah, I manage a group of buildings. I'm gonna speak on myself. Yeah, my family, we're in the agribusiness. We're into agribusiness, real estate. We manage a few apartment buildings, and we just want to do this year on year, and so on and so forth. Versus, yeah, I own like the biggest building in Makati. Oh yeah, my parents own, or the name droppings and stuff like that, or or when somebody's overly cocky or overly self-centered. You know that already. So here it's extremely off-putting, to be honest with you. So I'll give you some insight. I met a foreigner, I met a few foreigners like this, but I met one foreigner that, always bragged about their credentials. Always bragged about their credentials. As in, like, one time I heard this particular person go, it's me, man. What are you going to do? You know I'm going to get this done. Even to most Americans, they're like, oh, whatever, dude. Yeah, confidence. Here, it's kind of off-putting here. So, once again, if you're outwardly just constantly pointing it to yourself like you're the hot shot, you're the big guy or whatever, Filipinos are, people will smile. I'll be honest with you. They'll do the ha ha ha, that type of laugh, right? And they ignore you at the end of the day. Because they don't roll their eyes here, especially in front of you, maybe behind you, whatever. But it's just one of those things that it irks many Filipinos culturally. I think it irks most people in general, to be honest with you, right? So, another just shows up, fixes problem, but then you have those people, and I have many of those people in my team. We spoke about it yesterday, actually, about like just doing what you need to do and completing the mission. Those type of people. I love those people. I would like to think I'm one of those people. I really do. And, they just show up. They fix the problems. If they can't fix a problem, they find solutions. They work collaboratively, and they never complain. They might say like, it could be better if we did this, but they don't complain in a sense of, oh my God, not again. Why this? Why that? And for those of you entrepreneurs out there, you know what I mean. You know those type of people. And it becomes the natural choice when roles for leadership come up. The guy or girl always consistently does above and beyond what's expected of them, right? And they don't ever ask for any credit, acknowledgement, or anything like that. It's good to acknowledge them, obviously, as a leader, but they are not that type of person. So many Filipinos here, they take ownership and accountability silently. Many of them, if you were to ask and get deeper into your staff here in the Philippines, a lot of them are breadwinners. A lot of them are supporting multitudes of people within their family. Maybe a sibling or a relative going through school, maybe taking care of the meds and the medical needs of their parents. Some of them probably retired their parents at such a young age. They're fully supporting them. So the Filipinos are very modest in that way to a great degree. So, next thing is, except for you guys, is ask around. Ask what that person's doing in their life. Kind of like bring it out in them as to making sure that they know they're valuable. Because once you hear the story, naturally for me, I'd be like, wow, you're an amazing person. You are an amazing person at your age. You know what I'm saying? So silent ownership builds trust. That's the most important thing here. And equity over time. Let me drink some freaking water, dude. Number 5, last but not least, deep listening. Listening is not a weakness. It's a warrior's patience, I like to say. So most cultures don't respect constant talking, right? I get in trouble with this all the time because I love conversations. I'm always talking. But when it comes to real issues, I usually actively listen and just sit back and kind of understand what's going on. What does a person feel that way? and try to empathize that whole situation to try to potentially find a solution for them or for the situation at hand. So most people, you know, they don't respect constant talking. They respect those who hear what's not being said. So it's a lot of read between the lines. I can attest to this here in the Philippines. I can honestly say a lot of it is just those nonverbals. You know, it could be the eyes moving away. It could be, you know, it could be the loss of confidence by putting their shoulders down. Because I find that a lot of Filipinos can't hide that when speaking with them, or the sense of when you're speaking to local people here, the sense of, you know, that situation where they're talking to you, or there's not a phone obviously, or you know. So if you really want to progress your situation here and build value here, if you're in the Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, South America, or whatever, you got to practice like really deep listening. I mean, talking about put your phone away, just intently looking into the person and be like, okay. And to a great degree, mirroring, you know, reflecting, recapping, rephrasing, so they know, so the person knows that you're on the same page with them, right? And, you know, expats, I find who expats and Filipinos are like, they're always like rushing in, those type of people, rushing in to break into this, to the conversation, intending to say their piece, but at the same time, they're losing the power of influence. They're losing that point of that conversation where you can really build a sense of cohesion with that person, right? So expats or Filipinos alike who pause, absorb, lean in, and ask deep questions generally do better, to be honest with you, right? So I'll give you a great example for me. I'll give you a great example. You know, I was in the pantry, the food pantry recently. It was actually yesterday. One of the managers, we were talking, he was mentioning that, you know, can we redo the job board there, or the board where they put like announcements and stuff. And I asked him, like, you know, I'm just curious, why do Filipinos need everything in writing? Like, why do Filipinos, you know, genuinely like want this? So we had a really great 10-minute conversation, because it evolved into like, you know, why do Filipinos, because obviously he's local here, why do Filipinos have this particular mentality? What's your point of view on this mentality and this outlook in life and things like that? And, you know, he exposed, or his perception was, you know, in the BPO industry, there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of backbiting. There's a lot of, you know, throwing under the bus. There's a lot of, you know, just some BPOs have a very toxic environment, from what I understand, for people who have been working here long term. So, you know, being able to deeply listen to this situation, for me, it builds a sense of invisible loyalty, back to respect as well, because now you're putting in, especially the seat that I'm in, that I'm in at work. You know, it's easy for me to just bulldoze myself through conversations. It's easy for me to just butt in and do what I got to do, but it doesn't bring any value, to be honest with you. It doesn't bring that sense of, you know what, I'm here to make sure that I want to elevate you and empower you, and I want to make sure that I understand you, so I can do my best to elevate you, and at the end of the day, retain you as an employee, retain you as a staff member. And by that, I really need to have as many, I can't stress this enough, as many positive interactions with people, you know, as much as I can. There are going to be hard talks. That's a given at the end of the day. But those hard talks are full of respect and camaraderie at the end of the day. And some of those hard talks actually end up in unfortunate, you know, dismissals, but I want to leave there with a sense of respect for that I respect them, because that's the only way I believe that respect can be mirrored to a good degree. So just to give you some backup on here. Journal of Intercultural Communication back in 2023, foreign leaders who participate deep listening build trust 48% faster. So foreign leaders, expats, Phil-Ams like myself, who practice that deep listening, asking deep questions, getting to the, consistently trying your best to empathize and understand the whole situation there, built trust 48% faster than their counterparts. 48% is a big deal. It's not 50. It's still a big deal though. It's a big deal. Those are my 5 top valuable traits, qualities you need to be irreplaceable in any culture. But when it comes to quality, you're going to be probably the last person on the list that they want to get rid of because of the values you bring to the table. So stop trying to be impressive, be irreplaceable. So practice those 5 things just to recap: cultural humility, emotional discipline, long-term respect, silent ownership, deep listening. So I want to close this out with that these values are currency. The great thing is this currency does not change or diminish. It only appreciates. In any situation, in any boardroom, I believe that these top 5 values will really elevate you as a person, as a leader. And remember this, because in the end, they won't remember your accent, they won't remember your degree. They'll remember how safe they felt in your presence and how you carried yourself even when no one was looking. If that resonated with you, scan this QR code and be a guest on our podcast, because we can talk about business, we can talk about life in the Philippines, we can talk about leadership, we can pretty much talk about anything that will elevate the next generation forward, man or woman or whatever. Scan the QR code. You can hit me on the email if you have any collabs or anything like that. And if you are not ready to speak yet on camera, that's perfectly okay. I would love for you to comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts. More important, your vision as to any other values you can add to this particular video to help the next generation, empower them, get them over certain humps. Multiple brains are better than one, right? So subscribe, comment down below, like the channel. I will see you in the next video. But for now, check out one of these videos right here. Bye.